Welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Another exciting show and definitely another exciting guest. Today, we're going to visit in the mind of a beautiful bodybuilder, beautiful woman, very smart young lady, all the way from Nebraska. We're going to talk to Kelly Batchelder today, and she's going to share with us how coming out of addiction and really restructuring her way of life. But not only that, what it must be like to actually relapse. On top of that, thinking that you have control of your life when realizing that at the end of the day, you might need to do a little bit more work. But the thing about it is, are you willing to put in the work to get the help you need to keep that beast mindset to keep moving forward? She's definitely done that. That's welcome to the show, Kelly.
Thank you.
What's the last name?
Batchelder.
Batchelder to the show. How are we doing, Kelly?
Okay.
How many times have I tried to get that last name?
It's okay. That happens to me all the time, so you're not alone.
So thank you so much for taking time to come on the show, Kelly. So Kelly,
Sure.
tell the viewers a little bit about you before we get into your journey.
I'm a 53-year-old mother. I have a 16-year-old. I am currently training. I'm qualified for a national level master's as I'm 50 and over because I'm 53 years old. In July, the Universe show in New Jersey. Don't have a date yet. I think it's coming out January 1st, but that's what I'm currently training for with my coach and trainer. So
Now, when we was talking earlier, you shared with me such a beautiful journey of going into an addiction of alcohol and the relapse and you putting yourself into the hospital. How did all of that take place in your life? How did all that come about?
Well, I would say the majority of my drinking was through 2016, and I was basically just trying to process an enormous amount of trauma that happened in my life during a short period of time, and I just turned to alcohol and started drinking excessively. I was up to almost, and you probably can't tell from here down, but I'm actually a very small person. I'm barely 5'4". I was maybe 107 pounds at the time, drinking almost a 750 of vodka every day within a 24-hour period. And so yeah, with that excess of alcohol, I put myself into the hospital with lethal levels of alcohol in my blood. It's a miracle I'm even here. Um, so I took it upon myself to go to inpatient rehab. I was in inpatient rehab here in O'Neill, Nebraska, at Valley Hope for a
Kelly,
month.
didn't mean to cut you off. Let's go back a minute. How old were you when all this stuff happened, and what were the trauma effects that you was dealing
I
with
think
that led to that?
I would have been 46-ish, 45 or 46, and during that time I was divorced from my ex-husband, but he was stalking and harassing me. My mother was on life support. She had COPD. My dad was diagnosed with cancer. My really nice show jumper died. My dog died. My grandma died. And I was just finishing up grad school, which I'm on the forensics. I'm in the Forensics Honor Society, by the way, so it's a
Congratulations.
miracle. Thank you. So just during that time period, I just had a lot of the trauma thrown at me, and instead of seeking help or
Mhm.
finding a healthier outlet to deal with that, I turned to alcohol, and it was specifically vodka,
So the
and
trauma was
then
basically induced. I make sure I'm following you so the audience can get a clear understanding. The
mhm.
trauma wasn't anything to do verbally or abusive in a relationship. It was more so, if I'm hearing you right, the loss, the back-to-back losses of family members in your from your mom,
Yeah,
your
it was
dad.
mostly that, but my ex-husband at the time was still harassing me via phone. He was stalking me. I had to end up putting a protection order on him. Um, I mean, that was probably it was just part of the whole umbrella of things that were going on in my life at that time. But yeah, I mean, processing grief with that many deaths and diagnosis, and that was probably the biggest catalyst of why.
Did you have a family support system outside of your mom and dad? You had brothers
I
and
do,
sisters?
but culturally, we just don't talk about stuff like that. I mean, my family's very small, and I felt like I
Were you the
didn't have
youngest of the
time. I
house?
wasn't validated. My
You the youngest?
reality was
Are you the youngest?
questioned all the time.
Are you the youngest in your house, in your family?
Yes, I'm the youngest daughter. Yeah.
So were you able to, I mean, with that much loss of family members and dealing with a crazy ex, I mean, you literally had nobody you can go to?
I mean, not within the family because, and granted, this is from a perspective of how I felt. I mean, my reality and maybe someone else's in my family's reality might be two completely different things. But, um, I kind of, even in that state, ended up having to take care of, all of things for my father. I mean, he just kind of froze and didn't really know what to do. So, I had to take care of, I had a lot of burden on me at the time too, because no one was stepping forward to take care of financial issues or,
Hmm.
things that needed to be done after people pass on. And I have a brother that's 6 years older than me. He barely even saw my mom in the hospital, let alone took care of anything after she died. So I just had a lot of pressure as because I've always been like the responsible one, even though I'm the
Yeah.
youngest. So
What about
I was
school?
even
I mean, I didn't mean to cut you off, but what about school? You have I was telling you, my daughter wants to study what you did for just forensic science. I mean, that's a lot
yeah,
of
and
pressure, on you
yeah.
as well. How
So
was you doing in school?
I had graduated before I went to rehab, but that's during my tenure as a grad student, and I graduated with a 3.97 GPA. I was probably intoxicated almost every day.
There is no
That
way you was intoxicated while in that
yes,
kind of
I
field.
was. Absolutely
Man,
was.
that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I was functionally intoxicated because I had to maintain enough alcohol in my system just to function because if I slowed down drinking, I would immediately feel it or start shaking. I mean, I was extremely addicted to alcohol.
But it seemed
Um
like going to school, people would smell that you're
oh yeah, they all
intoxicated.
they all knew, but when you're a grad student, I mean, no one saw me do it. No one, I mean, so it was, you know, I- people knew, but it was never brought up because my GPA
You were
was,
still making the grades, so who cared?
yeah, I mean, my GPA was fantastic. I was functioning.
Why vodka?
Yeah.
Out of all the beverages.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It was just my poison of choice. So
Now,
I
let me
don't
go
know.
back a minute. Let me go back a minute because I'm trying to put these pieces together. I'm listening.
Okay.
Believe me, I'm listening. So
Okay.
all of this started around what age?
Probably 45, 46 ish.
Okay, what was your life like before that?
I was married to a man who was very controlling, very narcissistic. He was very well off. I mean, still
How old
is.
were you when you got married? That's another factor I
I
want
was
to know.
28
Okay,
when
so
I got
I'm
married
putting
to
together a
him.
timeline. Okay, 28. Your mom and dad are
Yeah.
still with us at this particular point, and
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Were they sick?
And
Were they sick at this time?
um yeah, I mean my mom fought COPD for probably 12 years, so yeah, a
Okay.
huge portion of my marriage to my ex-husband.
Okay. So you were still
She
dealing with uh, situations health wise with your family at this age, and you get married.
Yes.
Now what happens?
You mean with the health of my family?
No, no, no. I'm trying to put together how quickly this trauma took place because you got married about 28, right?
Yeah, so it probably started happening, I would say probably when I was 44, 45. Everything kind of started going downhill at that point.
Hmm.
With the diagnoses, and because my mom was on life support for like a year and 3 months. So, um, so yeah, I mean, if I would say probably started when I was 44.
When did you when did you realize that you said you went to this is crazy because I've heard of functional alcoholics.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard of it, and first time I ever talked to somebody that's gone through it.
Right.
When do you really wake up and say you're not? Let me use this word. You're not intelligent by any means. You had to
Um,
you had to come to your senses and say, look, this isn't cool.
right. I think when I, it accelerated very, very quickly, but it accelerated so quickly that my body became physically dependent upon it. And I always wanted to stop, and I tried to stop multiple times, but anytime I tried to stop cold turkey, it was almost medically dangerous. And that's one of the times I ended up in the emergency room because basically you just start tremoring
Mhm.
when you're going through withdrawal, and it's really not safe to do when you get to that point without medical assistance, because they'll give you anti-seizure medication. The withdrawal process, mine was like 5 days long. um
How
when I
was
went to
that for
rehab,
you?
so I was medically monitored for 5 days with anti-seizure medication, and they give you Ativan. um
Did you tell them that you have been consuming large amounts of
yes.
alcohol? And
Hmm.
what was their treatment plan for you? I mean, when it was all said and done, did they just like say, okay, you're good without a follow up program? Did they give you instructions to at least try to help you to help yourself?
No, and I think that's a huge void in our mental health system. And again, this is just my personal experiences. Is I mean, I give Valley Hope a lot of credit. They basically saved my life, but rehab programs are very good at getting you to stop drinking and getting you clean, and um but they don't do a good job of
The
teaching
follow
you
up?
how to cope with the environment that you're going to get thrown back into. um and they say go to AA, go to AA. Well, I mean, for me, I went to AA after I got out, and it is helpful, but going forward, after that I chose not to, and my own personal reasons. And I'm not knocking AA. I mean, if anybody, if that helps them, great. But me personally, my heavy drinking was such a small part of my life that I didn't want that to be my identity. And I kind of feel like the people that go to AA, and granted, I'm not knocking AA at all, but I almost feel like that's become their identity, and I wanted something else to be my identity, which is another reason why I got into bodybuilding.
Okay.
Is
Let me hold that.
I'm not going to be this perpetual victim, and I mean, bless their hearts, like I'm not. But when you go to meetings, I mean, it's a lot of, sure, there, it's healthy to talk about your life and what's going on and what made you drink, but at some point for me, I just said no. I just don't want that to be a part of my life anymore. I'm not going to be a perpetual victim. I
Mhm.
need to channel this into something else more positive. And So that was a huge catalyst for me getting into bodybuilding.
How many times did when you're talking about alcohol addiction or any addiction?
Hmm.
I like the fact that you recognize that maybe that's not for you. And I like the fact that you cleared up. You're not knocking AA. You had to figure out what works for you. But at this
Right.
particular point in your life, bodybuilding was not introduced because you said you had a relapse. I mean, so did you have the relapse after you had participated in a couple of AA meetings, or what led to
Um,
the relapse?
yeah, I mean, I've been completely sober for almost 4 years now. So the relapses happened before I started the bodybuilding journey. That the relapses happened usually if I don't feel validated, if I feel like my life's out of control. Like, I had to identify what are the triggers, because usually it's not, but people mistake, oh well, we can't drink around you, or don't go to the bar because that's going to trigger you. I mean, what people don't understand is that's not what triggers us. And I've obviously talked to a lot of addicts because I've been around a lot of them. But it's usually a relapse will happen a month, if not more, before you even take a drink, because you start, and everybody has their own trigger. But for me personally, if I feel like my life's out of control, which ironically, and this is kind of, I think, goes along with the subject matter of the concept of what we're talking about, is the whole, beast mode thing. It's you have to be strong enough to identify, am I looking for an excuse to drink? Am I looking for, because I'm not going to get into the chemistry and the biology of addiction, because that's a whole nother subject matter. I'm just speaking behaviorally. um you have to recognize that, because it happens way in advance before you take a sip of alcohol. And
So I
you
guess
have
what
to be
you're,
able to play the tape forward
yeah.
and say, where is this going to, nothing good comes out of this. It's 15 minutes of euphoria and weeks of apologizing, for your crazy text messages you sent to somebody, or being
Did
a
you
jerk to your
ever suffer
family,
from
or
some of the? Did you ever suffer from some of the classic stories that you hear from people that have that, like putting yourself in harm's way, like blacking out, not
oh,
remembering
for
what you
sure.
did
Yeah, I
last
mean, I
night?
was in the emergency room almost. I mean, I had lethal levels of alcohol in my system. Like, I in reality should not even be speaking to you right now. I mean, it was very bad.
You
Yeah.
mentioned something when I just a couple minutes ago. You said I can relate. I've been around addiction and around addicts. What do you mean by that? Who have you been around?
I
And
mean, just I mean, working in forensics, we dealt with
okay,
addicts, and then I've been to inpatient rehab 2 times. So during our, there's we have groups where we talk and that type of thing. And so, and I, having my degree, and it's basically forensic psychology or behavior, it's the behavioral track, is, I just kind of pick up on, similarities, or, other behaviors of individuals, of, human psychology is extremely easy if you think about it. All human behavior stems around, you can read any theory you want, Skinner, Freud, whatever, but it comes down to people do something to get what they want or to get away from something. I mean, that's
that's,
all it is,
that's all it is.
and so addiction behavior is getting away from something. It's
What were you
I
getting
don't want
away
to
from? Was it
feel
just
I
the
don't want to
fun?
feel this pain, so I'm going to drink, or I want to drink to feel comfortable in a social setting. I mean, it's you have to ask what your why is, just like with bodybuilding, like I don't know if you recall me saying this, but everything I do is 100, if not 1,000%. If I'm going to destroy myself, I'm going to be the best at it. If I'm going to, once I set my mind to whatever my goal is, I'm going to do everything in my power to be the best that I can be. I'm not saying I'm expecting to win, or, that's not my goal. I'm not chasing trophies or ribbons or whatever. I mean, I will put in 100% on anything that I do, and I also see that similarity among addicts.
Let me ask you a
Is what
question.
people don't realize is usually addicts are high IQ individuals, and we get frustrated when people don't understand where we're coming. I mean, there's 1,000 different reasons why people drink, but mine
Let me ask you a
was
question real quick. Let's go back.
okay.
So before I forget the question, when the relapse happened and you had to go back into the center or whatever you had to go to, what
Uh-huh.
was the triggering factors to that? Did you put yourself in the wrong environment? Like, what was the reason for the second? Because the second one is when
Yes,
everything started to come together for you.
yes, the second time was I was sober for a year and 3 months. I went to the Super Bowl party with a guy I was dating. I put myself in a playground that, was not healthy for me, around people that socially drink, and I at that point was not mentally healed enough to come to the conclusion that I'm never going to be a normal drinker again. I mean, it's just not going to happen. I completely rewired my chemistry, my brain chemistry, when I drank excessively, and so I put myself in a situation or a playground, which is another thing you have to avoid to stay sober, and and then, like I said earlier, just being around alcohol is not a trigger, but I was trying to convince myself at that point, it was still really early in my sobriety, that I didn't have a problem before. I can go back to drinking normal again. So I feel like addicts, I mean, if you can stop cold turkey and never drink a drop again, I mean, all the power to you. I have a lot of respect for those people, but many addicts have to figure out that they're never going to be able to drink normal again, and relapse, as they say, it is and can be a part of sobriety, because you almost have to realize that you just can't drink normally again, and sometimes you have to drink to realize that it's it's never going to be a healthy situation for you. So
Now you have to make a decision on, like you said, going all in to destroy yourself or
mhm,
all in to win. You decided to
right,
win. You have a son that's getting ready to almost pretty much an Olympic candidate level son, as well as stepchildren. Now's the time to get your life in order.
right.
What was the tools that you put in place to allow that to happen?
I think I just rechanneled it into not being so reactive to other people's behavior, that I have no control over what other people do, only I have control over myself. That took a lot of self-reflection and a lot of self-work. And I would say a huge catalyst for me becoming sober is mostly for my son. Like, bless his heart, he's been so understanding through my whole journey of, I mean, he'll even say, if I was married to dad, I would have drank myself to death too. I mean, he's an amazing kid. But I think the lesson that you teach children, especially in my journey, is, I mean, how powerful, and I know I'm patting myself on the back, but how powerful is that for a kid to see? He knows I almost died. He was 5 years old when that happened. And he has completely seen me turn my life around, and he has said to me, he's been to my competition, and I'm so proud of you. So I think that lesson to the addiction issue, I hope, ends with me, because it does run in my family. And he'll never forget that.
Mm. I'm proud
So,
of you too that you
oh well, thank you.
that you recognize. I think what you said makes perfect sense, and I think a lot of people need to. I think we all do this in real life, but don't subconsciously know it. We're either all in, or we're all for either destroying ourselves, or we're all in for making ourselves better.
Right,
There is no in between.
right.
I think the in between happens when you get in that stuck place and you go, I don't know which direction to take, and now.
Mm-hmm.
But you was in all three of those directions and decided to move forward. Now you're
Right,
getting into bodybuilding. Bodybuilding kind of like was the new AA for you, so to speak.
right, exactly.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
how did all that come about?
I had a couple girlfriends that in the past had competed in it, and they just kind of encouraged me one day and said, you have an ideal build for this sport, and you should consider doing it. And so I did a lot of research on it, went and watched a couple shows, kind of looked at how discipline is the diet, the food, the whole process of prep and peak week. I mean, I had to know everything before I dove into it, and once I did, I thought this is completely right up my alley, because um it gave me a light at the end of the tunnel, or a goal to focus on. And I have blinders on when I side blinders on when I have a goal in mind. And so alcohol isn't even an option at this point, because
So let
I've
me ask
seen what the other side looks like. The eating.
let me ask you a question, Kelly, because you
Sure.
said something. You mentioned things that put you into that state of alcohol addiction,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
one key word that you said was validation. I
Mm-hmm.
know from being a professional bodybuilder, it's hard to get validation because you might have 10 people judging you and you
Right.
do not win. So the validation is either, like you said, you're not going there to chase trophies and so forth, but it does sharpen you. It makes you get better and better and better.
For sure.
At least you should get better and better and better. And then there's some athletes that, their career may just stop here. So my
Right.
question is, because you use this word, and I want to clarify this, the validation,
Mm-hmm.
how strong is your will? And I know this is hypothetical, but just say
Right.
bodybuilding becomes something that no longer interests you anymore because
Mm-hmm.
validation of the gold expectation is not met.
Right.
Everybody wants to get that pro status, but what if that never happens? I mean, what about the what if factor? Are you strong
Right.
enough now, or is there something in place to say, okay, if this journey doesn't manifest the way I want it to be,
Mm-hmm.
am I ready? What's next for me to keep going so I don't result back into that bottle?
Yeah, yes, and that's a fair question. And actually, I have thought about that, and I think that I'm taking this journey from a extremely healthy, mentally strong aspect, is that I know that there's going to be an end to this career, and what I've kind of done through self-talk, if you will, is what I've learned from this journey of I mean, just the health aspects of it, of how much better I feel. And it doesn't have to be I don't have to be on a stage or judged or whatever. I mean, just the mere fact of going to the gym, and which I would continue going to the gym, and in you know, leading a healthy lifestyle, because um I've learned more about nutrition and how muscle mass affects longevity of your life. And I mean, just going to the gym, people are walking into a store or whatever. I mean, look at the average American. I mean, I don't mean to be a pessimist, but we're like the 1%. So when you walk into a place, just your mere presence, because you're fit, I mean, you get validation for that.
Mm.
And to me, that'd be and plus I'm super internally driven too, so I feel like as long as I maintain that, I don't have to be on a stage or critiqued by judges to fill my worth. My worth comes in my son being proud of me for staying sober and leading a healthy lifestyle now. My
Mm.
worth comes from going to the gym and um I get asked questions all the time at the gym because people are like, oh, what do you eat, what do you and the attention's nice, but that's part of the validation is your hard work is recognized just on an everyday basis. It doesn't have to be.
So, what's your end game before we wrap up? And thank you for
I
coming
feel
on the
like
show too.
my end game is to just kind of maintain this healthy lifestyle and focus on nutrition and my health and just my journey alone has influenced my husband, my kids. I mean, my son has always been an athlete, but he started eating better. My stepdaughter started eating better and working out. Once my husband started meal prepping, and he's not competing, but he that carried over to his workplace because people saw his body change. So the ripple effect of just my choices has been huge. So that's kind of my end game, is not only to maintain this vision of health. I mean, I always can't be in competition mode, but I mean, that's enough for me because there's so many people that just my choice of doing this has affected. And I hope that that's the end game, that I just, and it's not even really an end game. It is, I hope it's like a continuum
The
across
rip,
the board of,
I like
I just keep, because the more I age, the, you know,
you're doing the ripple effect. I like that.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of my end game, is my ripple effect. So,
Now, let me ask. I'm gonna ask one more question before we wrap up. And like I said earlier,
okay,
I don't know if you heard me. I wanted to say thank you for taking time out to come on the show.
of
But
course.
my last question is: the degree you got is very, the grade level, and you was doing this while intoxicated. Are you?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you in this field? Are you in the field that you
I
struggled with?
am not anymore. I quit in 2018, and that had to do with my decision to stay sober. Because when you write reports on, because in forensics, especially in the Midwest, there isn't very many forensic psychologists available, and I worked for Dr. Kirk Newring, who is a PhD. And he's brilliant, by the way. I can't say enough good things about him. He's nationally known. Um, but that's a very dark place to be, because you're dealing with deviants 24/7. And I just made a choice to not stay in that field anymore because it's not mentally healthy for me. I do help people on occasion with threat assessments.
What's a threat
Because that was
assessment?
my specialty. Like if somebody's behaving badly at work or threatening to bring a gun or bringing a
Okay.
gun to school or something like that. Like I've done consulting work off of I mean, just on an individual basis. I don't work with Dr. Newring anymore, but um part of forensics is you have to look at what the attorneys bring you. And sometimes if people video what they do, and we're all adults here, especially when it involved children, you can't pick and choose what cases you take. You take what the county or the state gives you.
Yeah.
And if they give you discovery from the case that you're working on and it's a video, you have to watch it. And I just didn't feel like that industry was good for me to stay sober.
You know
So
what? I like the way that you clarified that, because I think a lot of people need to understand that you recognize, and that's not so much of a trigger, but it could cause you later stress that you
right.
didn't want. And I think a lot of people may not even analyze it the way you did and say, and I don't know. Like I said, I've never really been around addicts. So, but I'm thinking,
Mhm.
wow, that's a key question to ask somebody. Like,
Right.
could your job be a trigger? Could you be a disservice
Absolutely it
to
was.
your
Hmm.
your job? Do you have any regrets about going after that degree and putting so much work in it to realize that your particular job title that you would have had, that you spent
Hmm.
all of this time for, could actually be your coffin sealer?
Absolutely not, because the individuals that I met in that journey, like I dated a Miami-Dade pathologist, a forensic pathologist for 2 years. And we're still friends. He's an amazing individual. I mean, I just met amazing people during my tenure there, so no, I don't regret it at all. And I learned so much about human behavior, and yeah, I don't regret it at all. But in reference to you're talking about your daughter getting into it, I mean, it's a lot of ugly. So,
What do you mean
um
we say a lot of ugly? What is
I
that?
mean, it's just I think with all of the TV shows that were out, like Forensic Files and um m- the Miami CSI show and all that, it's not so popular now, but it's not as glamorous as it appears on the Hollywood screen. And it's it, it will get to you.
Really?
I yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's you're dealing in deviance 24/7, and it does get to you for sure. And you know
I'm glad you shared that with me.
yeah.
I passed
I
on.
mean, I'm not discouraging her by any means. I mean, I just, when I went into school, I was thinking, like, oh, Jeffrey Dahmer and, the serial killers and, John Gacy and all those guys, which is, that to me is simple. I mean, that doesn't affect me as much as, uh, some of the, like, we have a high level of pedophilia in because we have the army base, or I'm sorry, the Air Force base here, and it seems like we were dealing with a lot of cases with that. And I just have a hard time with the kids aspect of it, and that really got to me, so I had to
Mm.
get out of the industry.
You know what? Once again, let me say thank you for coming out. How can the people follow you on social media?
On Instagram, my handle's Kelly, Kelly, last name Thorngren, Thorngren Batchelder. That's Batchelder. So yeah, my that particular, I don't know if you looked at it at all, but it's more wrapped around my family and bodybuilding. So
Okay, sounds like a
my
winner.
bodybuilding journey. So
Thank you so much for taking
you're
time to
welcome.
share
Thank you.
such
Thank
a
you
great
for taking the
story.
time.
Guys, make sure you like, subscribe, follow, click that button. All it takes is a click of a button to change your life, or more importantly, change the life of somebody else. This has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton Show.